Hi. I thought I would share with you today a little bit of kind of a step-by-step process of working on the, let's see here, I'm going to share the screen with you, the personal narrative essay step one assignment. In this particular assignment, even though it says essay, you're not actually writing an essay at the moment. You are going through the pre-writing stage of writing process to create an essay, a 500 to 750 word essay, about 2 to 3 page essay about an event that took place in your life at some particular time. And that event, I had a student ask me today, and I thought this was an excellent question. Does it have to be a single day, or can that event be kind of over the course of a couple days or weeks? Whatever option you decide, whether, and you'll see in your textbook it says those two ideas would be explored as telling a story by scene or by summary. Scene being that single one-day event, summary being multiple days accumulating to one kind of lesson learned. You have that option of choosing whichever path. But you have 4 things here to write about. You can pick from one of those, but before we do that, you have to come up with an idea. So you'll see behind me here that I've done a little bit of an activity called clustering or mind mapping. I'll talk about this in class, but really what I do for this, and this can be done on paper, it doesn't have to be done on whiteboard, but I pick one of those particular topics. I put it right in the center here, or close to the center. I circle it, and then everything that, as I'm thinking about that, any ideas that pop in my head, I write them down and circle them and then try to connect them. So the first thing that I thought I did was family, and I'm thinking about my wife and our pets that we have. I consider that's family, so I put adult. Marriage, circle that, of course. With marriage comes the wedding. I thought I could talk about my wife and I's wedding. I've got some interesting stories there, simply because she was 18, I was 21. We had no idea what we were doing, and so we didn't have a lot of help or support from family either at the time. So as you can imagine, it was kind of a chaotic event that I could probably expand upon that if I wanted to. But I thought, really, I've got a lot of memories growing up as a kid that I thought would make for better writing narratives. And so I went over here and I wrote down childhood, circled that, and then from there I thought, what kind of things took place when I was a kid? Well, my parents were divorced, and I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's. And so from there, I came up with different ways to write about or think about my parents' divorce, what took place, or when I was at my grandparents' house, what kind of things happened there. And one particular event that really stands out in my mind was my grandmother's cancer. She had developed lung cancer when I was a senior in high school, and that really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And so that's kind of one area that I'm going, and that's kind of the activity that I'm going to show you, or the idea that I'm going to further develop was my grandmother's cancer. Okay. If I return back here to the directions, you'll see that the main thing, and I've highlighted to kind of help identify this here. First of all, this is an informal outline. So typically when you're producing an outline, and hopefully you should still be able to see me up in the right-hand corner of the screen here, but when you're producing an outline, you're going to typically have kind of the information that you would put at the top corner. You're going to have your title, and then you're going to have like these Roman numerals as you go down, along with certain headings and information like that. But I'm not so worried about that with this particular assignment. With this one, I'm simply looking for that you have connection of this 8-point arc, which demonstrates that you have a plot. As long as you have a plot, you have a narrative. So that's really what I'm looking for. So I'm going to take this idea here of my grandmother, in particular, one particular day, I was asked to stay home and watch my grandmother, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for her. And that particular day has always kind of weighed heavily on my consciousness. It sticks out to me, and so I have a lot of emotional attachment to it, and I thought that would be a good thing to write about because I have a lot invested there. Now, again, you don't have to pick some type of traumatic event or something that's going to make you upset. You can pick a really nice event. You know, if you're an athlete, you can certainly write about a big game that you had, or a time that you tried out for a team, or the first time that you tried a particular sport. All of those are going to make for excellent stories. But the example that I've given you kind of on the assignment sheet and further is about this one particular story that I wrote a while back on my grandmother's cancer. And I'll kind of walk you through the steps that I took when I first developed it as a story. So the first thing I might think about, I might want to draw this out kind of as a traditional bell curve story. So I have my rising action here, my climax, my falling action, conclusion, and the introduction. But in reality, well, I'm asking it to use these 8-point arcs. So I might think, where is the stasis at? Well, the stasis is going to be here at the beginning. So the stasis. And what's happening at the beginning here? Well, my grandmother has cancer. So grandma has cancer. And that's one point, one thing to keep in mind. So the stasis, what's happening at the very beginning of the story, the context, the where, the when. This is a lot to do with setting. The story is going to take place at my grandmother's house. And I was in high school at the time. So all of that is connected to the stasis. Now, before I even start the adventure, or start my story here, I'm going to have a trigger. And the trigger is something that I have no control over. And originally I was thinking, you know, that trigger was stay home and watch grandma. Stay home. Okay. From there, I have the bulk of my story, the quest. My quest here is initially I didn't actually want to stay there with her. I wanted to go to school, or I wanted to do something a little less, what I thought, a little less lame than babysitting grandma. So try to get out of it. So I tried to get out of that. Now, a surprise that I have, I can't quite think of it as a surprise at the moment. So that's okay. I can maybe skip that. Even though I'm looking for all 8 points of the arc, by no means you have to have all 8. You just want to try to get as many as you can. that surprise is some type of obstacle or something that you should have to overcome. And maybe for me, that obstacle, oh, I'm gonna skip that for a moment. But I do have a critical choice. And that's going to be kind of right up with the climax there. That critical choice is if I choose one thing, the story's going to end one way. If I choose something else, the story's going to end a different way. And for me, my grandmother was kind of disoriented. She's walking around the house, and there was a plastic bag on the ground that I'm watching her walk towards, and she's going to step on it. And I, in hindsight, really couldn't stop her. This happened all too quick. But to add to my story, or to kind of explore this thought of mine, my critical choice is: do I say something? Do I stop her? So I'm just going to put stop. And while I was thinking of it, I did kind of come up with, here's maybe one of my surprises, is that she was on an oxygen tank and she still liked to smoke cigarettes. And that's part of the reason I had to stay home and watch her, is keep her from blowing herself up. So surprise, once you put oxygen. I could continue with this. I don't want to take up all your time going through the whole range of the story, but you can see here, I've already just started to jot some ideas on the curve. Now, what you could do for this assignment is you could simply do the same sort of thing on a piece of paper. I would expect you to save time for this video. I'm just doing a few words, but I would like to see you actually kind of write out some sentences and give me a little bit more detail than what I'm doing here. But you could certainly do the same sort of thing. You could draw it out like this. Write out the parts of the story that you want to put in your final essay, and then add a label to them. We have our stasis, the trigger, the quest, and the surprise. This could be done on paper, and then to submit the assignment, just make sure that you put your name at the top here. And I would say put composition as well, count 1, and put the date. This is 9/9/2020. Put that towards the top of the paper. Take a picture of it with your phone and submit it that way. Other option that you have. Another option is to type this up in Microsoft or word processor. I suggest Microsoft because you have access to it with your school account. Okay, so I've opened up Microsoft Word here. Just in the top corner, I'm going to put my name. You would put your name, put the name of your instructor, class, position, and the date, September 2020. From there, I want to put the title of my paper, and so I'm going to say V.A. Grandma fell. This is a working title. So a working title means that I'm not settled on this. I can change this later, and I probably will change it. And so from there, go back over here, and you'll see that I have all this double spaced. The reason I'm putting my name and all this stuff up here, this is MLA. We'll talk more about MLA when we get to a few other papers. You certainly don't need to have it exactly like this for right now. Again, my main focus is on whether or not you have a plot for your story. But what I've done here is just put my name up there, put my title, and then from here I'm thinking, let's see here, we're going to say when I was in high school. And maybe from that point, I might just do this kind of, do that. I'm going to write stasis right here. Maybe to help this, I might even say this is my introduction, or this is my beginning. Whatever kind of labels you put, that's entirely up to you. You don't need to include this up here. But what I'm just trying to do is make it as easy for someone else to take a look at this and see what parts of the writing, what they belong to. My mother asked me to stay home. I didn't want to. Again, I could copy this and put it right there, but I'm not obligated to do that. And then for maybe here, I might just say the middle of my story. I could break this out into paragraphs. I could say paragraph 1, paragraph 2. I might just say the middle, and before I even get to that, let's have a trigger. How does this story begin? My mother asked me to stay home, but I didn't want to. Let's do that. That is let's call that my trigger here. And notice these are not perfectly aligned or anything like that. Again, this whole outline that you're producing for this assignment should be very simple, should be stress-free. It's really meant for you. It's not so much for my benefit, not at all. It's really for your benefit to make sure that you have a plot to your story, and you have enough of an idea there that you could develop this into a couple pages. If you're finding out that as you go through this that you can't quite do that, you can't add, you don't have a stasis, you don't have a trigger, you don't have most of those 8-point arcs, then you probably don't have enough to write about, and you'll have to go back to brainstorming. So at any rate, I would continue through this as such, and then go to submit the assignment. I would want to go up here and click Save As. I'm going to save it. Save as, in this case, I think I want to just download a copy of it. I could do save as, save online, but I want to be able to submit this assignment for a grade, so I'm going to do download a copy. Do you want to download it, work offline? Yes, I do. I'm going to go save file, click OK. And then from there, I'll have to figure out where did that file go. I know from enough experience here, if I go into my downloads, it's probably going to be there. And notice it's saved as document 4. I probably should have changed the name of it there. So I'm just going to rename narrative outline. You can save it whatever you want to save it, just so that you remember it. But there it's located, and now I can go in and submit that. Okay, so I'm in the class here. I'm going to go over to modules. You can see that I could also submit the assignment here, or at least I should be able to. I'm not seeing it, but if this pops up on your screen, you can submit it there. But I really encourage you, as you're going through the course, to go to the modules and to work your way through it. And you'll see that I do have it set up as complete, so that means you're going to have to take a look at pretty much every page that I have available there. Those directions, by the way, hopefully you know this since we're talking about that. It helps if I go to the right week. It's, so week 2 here. Those directions are going to be found in this first item. But I'm going to skip that here. I'm going to go down to again, week 2. I need to be in week 2. The personal narrative step 1. I can read the directions. I click on that and see those directions. Of course, here's the directions as well, but I think I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and submit the assignment. I've completed it, or we can imagine that I've completed it. I'll go up here at the very top. There was that option to submit, and then from there I can browse my computer for a file. I'm going to go to the location where I have that file saved, narrative outline. Remember, I renamed it. I'm going to go open. I can see that it says narrative outline there, so I know that that's the correct file. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And that's it. It's pretty easy. If you've done it correctly, it should say up here at the top, submitted, gives us the date. And I can, of course, do submission details. And what that will do, normally it would open it up for me here. I guess I can't quite do that, but we can see this is a hyperlink, so I can click on that, and then I can open the file to just double check, make sure I have everything correct. But that is how you submit this. Now, if you're wondering, what if I did this on paper, wrote it out, and then I took a picture of it? Again, so Canvas should show up on your phone, so you can certainly use your phone. You can go down here and do a browse, and then look for that image. I don't have one because I'm on the computer right now, but if you're on your phone, you should be able to just do this to attach an image, and again, just hit submit once you've done that. If that's not working for you, maybe email that image to yourself, then download it on the computer and go through the same steps. But it's pretty easy to turn assignments in for this, and the assignment itself should be pretty low key. So as always, if you have questions, let me know, and look forward to seeing what everyone puts together for possible narratives.